Welcome back to Viewmasters. Rusty, how's it going?
Oh my God, we're back to our roots.
Yeah, yes, we are. This October, we'll be doing horror movies, so that means at least one more episode.
Yeah, definitely one more episode. I think we can do it.
One more episode. And did I already say our movie today is It Follows, released March 27th, 2015. Now, this is, I don't know how you feel about this movie, Rusty, but to me, this is a modern classic.
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
And this movie is, I consider it a part of a subgenre that I've invented, which is artsy, overhyped horror movies that do really well at fests, and then they come out and mainstream audiences who are morons have trouble with them.
Yeah.
So like Hereditary, The Witch, Midsommar. This is like one of those. But for me, this is like my favorite of that subgenre.
I'm also curious because the soundtrack's really good in this movie.
The soundtrack's fucking great.
But now every movie that comes out that's a horror film uses, the 80s style synth. And I'm wondering where this falls into that. Because I feel like this is pretty early on with
I feel like House of the Devil, which did like the fake vintage thing before anyone else I could really think of, they kind of pioneered that. And then everyone else started doing synth scores. And then once it became Stranger Things, it was like, fucking feeding it to the fucking common people. Makes me sick.
The common people.
Was The Guest the same year as this, which also stars Maika Monroe?
Does she really? She's in The Guest? I did not know that. Yeah, that has a great soundtrack.
Such a great score. Yeah. That's like the best score. You're Next. I feel like that also has a good score and a similar kind of vibe.
Do you feel like that's way overdone now?
They ruined it. They killed it.
They did kill it. I feel like it's just everywhere now. Even in our theme song.
Oh, that's true. Fuck. But hey, that's a cover by Matt Akers, great guy. That's a cover
the Blood Rage
of Blood Rage.
Yes.
Which we might revisit this Thanksgiving. That is a cult classic. We covered it in our first episode. Now everyone's talking about it.
It's not cranberry sauce.
You look at Twitter in November, everyone's talking about Blood Rage. We invented it.
We did invent it. I have never heard of Blood Rage until I saw the Arrow film. I think we gave it a shot.
Either. I think Arrow actually invented it. We can't take any credit, but whatever.
But I see a lot of references to it in recent years.
Yeah, me too.
So pat ourselves on the back a little bit.
Yeah, we'll take that credit. We made Lady Snowblood huge as well.
I don't know.
I mentioned Maika Monroe. She plays the lead in this. Jay Height. Jay Height. Interesting name.
Did you know that the characters, the Height sisters, Jay and Kelly, are named after the Lee Curtis sisters?
I did not know that.
Jamie Lee and Kelly. Is it Kelly Lee or just Kelly Curtis? Kelly Lee, right?
Hold on. Babe, do you go by Kelly or Kelly Lee?
Yeah. Well, you know why. I mean, the mom's Janet Lee, so it would make sense.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
There you have it.
Written and directed by David Robert Mitchell, who cited Halloween as a huge influence. You could totally feel that.
Yeah.
Also, Nightmare on Elm Street, because the parents in both this and Nightmare on Elm Street are kind of drunk and inept and out of the picture. It's clearly the kids. It's all up to the kids.
It's like Halloween, but they replaced the physical killer, like Mike Myers, with just an invisible entity. That's what they basically did.
Mike Myers. Wow, I didn't know you knew him so well.
I don't have time for 2 syllables.
Speaking of Michael Myers, star Maika Monroe has a major phobia about knives. This is a good fact I found.
Did Knives Out send her into a coma? She couldn't handle it?
I guess so. Also, Rusty, she's an avid kiteboarder. She balances her acting with kiteboarding. And she said that acting is such a crazy industry, but kiteboarding keeps me grounded. Ironic, because I'm imagining in kiteboarding you get some air, but I can't say I know very much about it.
If you ever met her, would you say that you were into kiteboarding just to try to hang out with her?
Oh, completely, yeah.
Imagine you out there. Imagine she sets up a date with you to go kiteboarding. Dude, drown.
It's funny because we mentioned last episode about me hanging out with high school kids, and throughout this film, I kept imagining like if these kids came to me, I'd be like, "I believe you. I'll help you out. I'll drive. Let's get you out of here. This is one bad entity."
So you're just there to help. You don't care.
We just got to get out of here. We're going to escape this creature and set up a simple IRA for you. Just defer your taxes, get your retirement in order. I don't even know. Oh,
that's your first priority. We get escape the creature, set up
Oh,
an
I'll
IRA.
just hey, they can tell me anything's happening. I'll believe them. These are my only friends.
Yeah.
David Robert Mitchell started writing the screenplay for this in 2011, based on recurring nightmares he had as a kid. Now, when he was a kid, it did not have the sexual element.
No.
But as he got older, he started working that in.
I feel like if I wrote this as a kid, it would have had the sexual element as well.
Really?
Very
Wow.
confusing sexual elements, though. Not all there, but something. Little taste.
Me too. Pursued by Diana from V. Tie me up. Slap my penis
She's tying
around.
you up too? Is that how all your fantasies were as a kid, just being tied up?
I guess so. That's weird.
I mean, before we move on, did cartoon characters do that to you, like Wile E. Kit or Wile E. Cat, whichever?
No, Wile E. Kit and Wile E. Cat, who I never have been able to figure out which one's the boy, which one's the girl. We were equals, you know.
Oh,
we were in a three-way.
You're tying each other up.
We were a throuple, which actually sounds like a Thundercats term.
Oh, snarf, a throuple.
What the hell am I seeing here? I don't know. I don't know which one that is. Now, I don't know if I said that this came out March 27th, 2015. I remember seeing this in the theater. I remember I was supposed to see it at Fantastic Fest 2014, but my aunt died, so I had to fly back for the funeral.
Still following you to this day. You can't get away from her.
Well, I'm so glad you said that, Rusty, because got to scroll down. The director, David Robert Mitchell, said in an interview that the monster could potentially board a plane in order to follow the cursed person. Wow. If flying's not annoying enough, that would suck.
Does it take a seat or just stands there? Imagine being the entity just standing on a plane, just waiting. Like, there's a pace. I like that, though. At least he had an answer for that question of like, oh, you could just go to another country.
I was thinking, he got a lot of hype out of this. It definitely, I'm sure, it transformed his career to the next level. And it's a great film. Be honored to be involved in it. But also, I bet it really, like, every person in his life must come up to him and be like, hey, what if you just finger bang the girl? Does that count?
Wait, I have that as a note. Let me cross that off. Yeah, what if it's just a hand job or something?
He is on record as saying that same sex and safe sex would still transmit the monster.
What about up the butt, though? So I guess it's
that would count. That would count.
So you're not safe.
See, that would be a cool. This would be a cool sequel.
Up the butt.
For the record, I don't think they should make a sequel. Although it would be kind of interesting to see what kind of because they'd have to go with an explanation.
I would hate that.
Where they'd be like, there was an Egyptian curse. This pharaoh loved a lady and she cursed him. But it would be interesting if it took place in a environment where all the kids knew about the entity. And they were they did different things to
fuck with it.
They had their own system of sexuality to avoid getting infected. And they hung out with a 41-year-old who was like, hey, whatever cool with you guys is cool with me. I'll just drive you to the mall.
So you want the sequel to be about you.
Just wear a mask. Just wear a goddamn mask. That's all I got to say.
Well, based on this pandemic, the entity doesn't have a chance. Not enough people.
It does. I was thinking, I was like, this has a special resonance in the age of the pandemic because just someone walking at you without a mask is scary.
Oh, I even hate. You know what I really hate? If you're in public,
the below the nose maskers.
Well, that's just absurd. But I'm talking about when people, even if you both have masks on, you're wearing it right. When they get too close to you, where they feel like that's safe, so you could still feel their presence on you. Like if you turn, you're rubbing elbows. It's just come on. Keep the 6 feet too. Wear the masks. Keep the 6 feet.
Yeah, I hate the below the nose. I want to make a shirt that says if I see an exposed nose, I break it. But then I'll have in parentheses, guys only, men only.
That's how you're a vigilante. You're going around breaking people.
I sold 3 shirts. I sold 3 of my shirts on my Etsy store. I'm not encouraging violence. No. I don't know why that's my old man voice, but
take it to the streets, breaking noses, break the nose.
Now, like any great horror film, Rusty, this has a super memorable opening scene.
Oh my God, it does. Yeah.
Wow. It starts out that camera, The camera often, we don't get too much in technique here, but the camera is a voyeur. And it starts out in the center of the street. I love the way how this opening shot is all just one shot. Whoa, did I say shot twice? She has a major phobia about knives. The opening girl, Annie, comes running out. She's wearing high heels. Interesting choice, but they're red. Red shows up frequently in this film.
Yeah.
Red is, I think, the color of danger. And you see pink also as like a prelude to danger, and blue as when you're kind of in the clear. Now, do I sound crazy? And then there's a lot of water imagery, which we'll get into.
Now, I know you're going to go ballistic right now. You might have to sit down, strap yourself in. But
I'm strapped in.
You told me about the blue and the red. I knew about the red, but the blue you told me about. Yes, and you said to look for it, and that's your theory. But when I was looking up trivia about the film, I came across that. So
yeah, they got that from me.
Other people are ripping you off.
I invented that theory. Just like we made Blood Rage popular.
Yeah.
I invented the colors of It Follows.
The interesting thing, though, like you said, the girl comes out into the street and she's in high heels, but she's also just wearing, I guess, her nightgown, not nightgown, but her night clothes, like short shorts and like a tank. It seems like this movie takes place in autumn. I mean, there's some set pieces that would be pumpkins and stuff, or at least closer to Halloween. But it's very ambiguous, which I think is deliberate by the director, right? That he does that to induce uncertainty, dread, confusion with the audience. And it works.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely works, because your mind is trying to place things. Like when you're looking at the house and you're looking at the cathode ray TVs and like the clothing and stuff, you're like, all right, this is the 80s. But then you see that e-reader that Yara has, and that's just like, you're just completely confused by that.
Yeah, it definitely creates like a good kind of nowhere feeling. And throughout the production design, there's a lot of like little, like the way they're playing like card games and board games.
Yeah.
These days, man, my kids will be playing Switch. They'd be playing Switch for this whole damn thing.
I mean, that has to be delivered, that there's never a mention of internet. So as the audience, do we think it exists, or does it maybe not exist in this world?
I think we think it exists. I mean, but let's not get crazy here.
But why don't they use it for anything? Why are they not researching, like, I'm being followed? What does it mean?
Rusty, I know you wanted me to talk about this even more, but I finally today finished watching Buffy. Watched it the whole summer. Today I watched the final episode. Was I crying? Yes, I was.
Really?
But my only criticism of that show is like they use a shitload of like Google. It probably wasn't even Google back then, but they use the internet so much where they'll be like, oh, wait, the monster had like a hat. And they're like, look at this, like hat monster. And it's so good they don't do that in this film.
There's only 2 deaths in this movie. Are we certain that there's definitely a being following them? Can it just be freak coincidences, and that maybe Jay's had a bad trip or something from when she was knocked out?
No, I think we're definitely certain that there is a real entity here, because we see the other people's perspective. We see stuff flying invisibly.
Wow. Maybe those people don't exist in her head. Maybe she's still in a dream. It's like Total Recall.
Maybe this is,
Recall. I don't know. I don't think that would work for this movie. Sometimes it would work.
Yeah.
But that would be cheap. Did you read the quote that Quentin Tarantino said about this movie on IMDb?
I did. Do you have it on you?
I don't have it on me, but basically he just says that watching this movie, it's a great movie, but it's also kind of infuriating in some ways because it changes the game on you. I know I'm probably misquoting him horribly, but do you know what I'm trying to get at? Do you know better than I do?
I do, and I actually used to agree with old Quentin.
He's lost.
And I used to not like that pool scene. I used to not like how it kind of violated its own rules. But now I kind of see this movie the way I see the original Suspiria.
So Italian.
It's a me, Marcos. That's the mashup we need. Luigi's Haunted Mansion. He could be at the ballet school. Oh my God, all this dancing. It seems evil. But what was I saying? It reminds me of the original Suspiria, a movie with nightmare logic and a great score that has a great vibe. And it's not that important that it doesn't all come together.
I feel like it's very forgiving with stuff that you would kind of rip apart. Like, I'm fine. Yeah. I'm pretty much fine with this movie, start to finish.
Yeah,
I mean, I do nitpick in my notes here, but that's just for discussion's sake.
Yeah, the first time I saw it in the theater, I I nitpicked more than I do now. Just like anytime there's a movie with a shitload of hype, you go in with kind of an axe to grind, and you're like, okay, where do they come up with this plan? This plan's dumb. How come? Blah blah blah. Where'd this thing come from, etc. But when you're watching it at home for the millionth time, it's like you just accept it.
I'm really curious though, if like the person, patient zero there, are they still alive? And if something happens to them, what happens to the being? Does it cease to exist?
Dude, I'll tell you my very Catholic theory. Patient zero, Adam and Eve.
Wow.
This is original sin. This guy's trying to get all the way back to the garden and kill Adam and Eve.
You really need to figure out all the Catholic guilt you have. It's always going back to your shame.
So now in this opening scene, we've got some controversy here about the first line. Some people say it's, "Hey, are you okay?" The neighbor says to this frantic girl whose name is Annie. Others say it's, "Annie, are you okay?"
Yeah.
Now, Rusty, I hope it's the latter because, Michael Jackson asked the same question in the song Smooth Criminal.
Annie, are you okay?
He said, "Annie, are you okay?" And he died never knowing.
It's a shame. That's the one thing he wanted in life.
It is true. He never knew.
Kept seeking it out.
We're not, the rest of his actions we're not going to judge, but it is sad that he we will judge harshly.
I don't know. I've been in a coma. What are his other actions?
I'm done with Michael Jackson. I'm done with
the guy. I don't know.
I don't even play Moonwalker anymore.
Wow. You're missing out. It's a pretty good game. But yeah, so anyway, so Annie, as we said, she's in the street in her heels and her bedtime clothes. Her dad comes out confused.
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, what's wrong? What's wrong?" You get a quick sense. You're like, this seems like a good dad. And Rusty, let me note. Did you notice that her address is 1492?
It's a very special year for you.
Is this reflective of the original sin of America? Is this a reference to Columbus, to genocide? We're in October. It's Columbus Day.
It's coming right up. Interesting. Do you think there's any relevance of that? It does take place. It does take place around autumn.
All I know is later in the film, you see who's the hunky guy?
Greg, or the real actor's name?
Greg. You see his address later in the film, and it's like 38,000 something. I hate when the addresses get that high.
Burn it.
I hate when they get that high.
I noticed he referred to him as the hunky guy. Would you say he's hunky or just kind of has a vibe to him?
Compared to the other fucking incel in this film, he's hunky. I want to fight the other kid, Paul.
He plays that character really well, though.
He does so well.
He was in another movie I watched. I can't think of the name of it, and he plays almost the same kind of character, and he's so hateable, but the actor's good.
All these young actors, I was like, oh, I haven't seen them in anything else, but then I looked them up. Almost everyone's been in a lot of stuff, with the exception kind of Kelly Height, the sister.
I don't know.
But she's done
She's been on Instagram and TikTok. You can see her work on TikTok.
Sounds cool to me. I don't know what it is, but it sounds fun.
I'm on that TikTok. What was that? The guy that you just referred to as the hunky guy. He was in that movie that
Greg. He was in the movie Don't Breathe. Daniel Zavato.
Yeah. Daniel, look at that. Where did you pull that out of?
Your notes that I'm looking at right now.
Oh.
Paul, played by Keir Gilchrist. Who knows? But did I ever tell you that Nina Foch, Academy Award nominee Nina Foch, who was one of my teachers at USC, she said how her and her peers hated Keir Delay.
Oh.
And they used to say, Keir Delay gone tomorrow.
Yeah, we talked about that in the Black Christmas episode.
Oh, wow. I can't believe you can remember which episode it was.
He was in it. And the only other thing I know him from is 2001. I know we haven't touched that one.
Not yet, but for 100th episode, we're going to do that.
Yeah, God. That's a lot. That'd be a lot of work, a lot of research. I can't handle it. So what are we talking about? The opening scene.
The opening scene. And she gets into a modern-looking car, but as a lot of people... And she has a cell phone, yeah. As a lot of people note about this film, the technology, the clothing, everything kind of places it in an indeterminate time.
It really does. I mean, I like that all the TVs are like the cathode ray TVs.
Not even just CRTs. They are like those wood encased TVs. I had one of those. Fucking sucked.
Yeah, remember hooking up the Atari to that thing?
No, I don't remember that at all, Grandpa. When I was a kid, I played PS3.
Who are you trying to convince right now?
Ooh, if anyone just tuned in for this section, they're like, this guy seems cool, man. He's young. So she goes. Annie goes to the beach. I First of all, the cinematography in this film is fucking amazing.
It really is.
The DP was Mike Gouliakis, I think is how you say it.
Riveting, as usual.
Riveting stuff. He also shot Us, Split, Glass, all horrible movies, but looked great.
Oh, I didn't know you had a take on each one of those movies.
Well, I'd never seen Glass, but I'm just going to assume. I saw Split. I was one of the first people in the world to see Split. Can I just say that?
I thought people like that, though.
People do. I was like, oh my God, when this movie comes out, people are going to ridicule it. I was like, this is insane and not in a good way. And then it actually was a hit. So
are these the same?
You never know.
Are these the same common people that are into Stranger Things that you're talking about?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The Normalos, my oppressors.
Wait, so this guy's career kind of went downhill, is what you're saying?
No, it went uphill because before that he had shot. I think his biggest credit before this was John Dies at the End. Don Coscarelli, good friend of ours, but not like a major film.
Do you think the next thing
he did like a lot of shorts and stuff?
Do you think the next thing he should shoot is himself?
Not at all. He's doing The Eyes of Tammy Faye with Jessica Chastain.
Oh, wow.
Directed by Michael Showalter. Look at him.
Oh, wow. I don't take him for a good director.
Hope he doesn't listen to this.
I'm sure he's not.
The shot of her like sitting like with the water to her back and the headlights, and then there's like the light from the moon hitting the ocean behind her, or maybe that's a Great Lake. Look, I know they filmed it in Michigan, so I guess it is a Great Lake. I don't know. It seems like the ocean to me, but I guess it's a big lake.
You have no idea.
Help me out. Get me out of this. Get me out of this. Get me out of this one. I guess it's a Great Lake. And she calls her dad and she's like, I'm really sorry. And, such a great sense of dread. And then just that hard cut to her with like her leg twisted up and mangled. What a great way to start. Not since Drew Barrymore in Scream has there been a more iconic opening scene. That might be overstating things, but it is a great one.
It makes you wonder, like her leg was bent with tremendous force. So you're kind of wondering what did that to her. Was it a madman on the loose?
As opposed to what? A madman behind bars?
Well, yeah, I don't know. What do you think the dad was thinking as he's getting this frantic call?
I don't know. Then to find that body like that the next day?
Yeah. I mean, his responses seemed calm based on the way she was answering the questions.
It seemed like he was downplaying her worries. And then when they found that body in that condition, he must have been feeling pretty guilty. And think about that. Finding your kid like that, like all twisted up and broken, and you never know. For the rest of your life, you're like, what happened? Like, did she like really piss off a crab or something?
That's the conclusion. I'm just wondering with his wife, though, if his wife is like, you spoke to her last. What did she say? What did you say? And he has to be like, oh, it was really calm, even though she was frantic.
We really stick with the voyeurism kind of angle of this opening shot, like pushing in on Maker Monroe in the pool. It's an above ground pool. Never loved him. What a bummer.
Didn't suck. Like a good above ground pool. That's like something that you set up in the afternoon.
Well, let's not go crazy. You don't have to set that up in an afternoon.
I don't. Well, when you got guns like me.
Wow. Okay.
But the pool is her happy place.
Yeah.
And she reverts that she has the picture in a room of her in the pool. She goes there a couple times, and then the pool later on is destroyed, which.
We never see why it was destroyed, right?
I wrote that in my notes. I have no idea. I watched it twice looking for that, and I have no idea.
Maybe the creature came by and we didn't notice that it bumped into the pool or something.
Well, they say the creature gets more. I mean, I read that the creature gets more frustrated or angry the more you avoid it.
Yeah.
So maybe you kind of knew it was a happy place. Took a detour. Says, I know she's over there, but I'm going to take out the pool.
Man, we talked about how much we hate the movie The Myth American Sleepover. And I feel like that movie really tries to capture adolescence and like a bygone era and like contemplative moments in a way that I found tedious and annoying. Just ignore all those sirens. But the way that she's in the pool and like takes the bug that's on her arm and puts it in the water, that put me back into like being a kid in a way that like was so instant and so visceral. I was like, I remember bugs being in pools. Remember that?
I think they still are in pools.
Well, I wouldn't know. I don't go in pools anymore. I don't see it. It's like, who knows?
Do you think you could go in a pool and just sit there like the way she was? Just go in the middle, have a float?
Do I? Yes, definitely.
No, as a kid though.
What do you mean?
I feel like I needed action.
Oh, as a kid, I was always like set up the volleyball net or like throw some coins in the pool, you know?
Go, yeah. Or take the bucket, put it over your head, and go into the bottom of the pool.
I never did that. That seems like a recipe for disaster.
No, it fills with air, and you could sit there for like an hour.
Wow, that's the first time I've ever heard of this.
Or you take the garbage can. You never did that?
No, take a
When you discovered
garbage can.
like,
Wow.
yeah, you take a garbage can, you bring it straight down, so it keeps the air pocket, and then you just sit at the bottom of the pool in the air pocket.
Wow.
I don't know. I survived, so it worked.
That's probably what happened to our old friend Eric. He's still there's like a skeleton at the bottom of the pool right now with a garbage can over it. They're like, where did he go?
I mean, maybe that is what happened to him. I mean, we haven't heard from him in a while.
Eric, you always liked the garbage pail kids. Now you are one. I don't even know. He had a pool just like that. Remember, he used to run around in circles in that pool, create like a whirlpool.
Oh yeah, the small pools were brilliant for the whirlpool effect.
Yeah, but they always were kind of like kissing your sister, just like the character Paul does in the film, as referred to in the film.
But remember, I'm just harping on this whirlpool thing, but remember having a group of friends in the pool, and that was like, let's do the whirlpool. That was a magical thing, and you get the two people in the middle that would hold hands and like create like the vortex.
What a time. Anyway, we see these peeping Tom neighborhood kids. I love her energy when she's like, I can see you. And then the kids duck, just really sticking with that theme. A lot of peeping in this film.
Yeah, there's a lot of nice touches in this movie.
There really is.
I feel like everything's almost deliberate.
Oh, yeah. It's everything feels unified on like a thematic and artistic level.
It's almost Kubrickian. Is that the way you say Kubrickian? Yeah. Where
I agree with you.
I agree with you. Purpose. Yeah.
So Yara comes out. No, not Yara. The sister Kelly comes out, and she's like, "We're gonna watch some movies." Like all the kids' energy in this movie is like seems very authentic to me.
Yeah, especially even when there's danger looming, or even when they know the beings in the area, they're all kind of still so passive about it.
I mean, well, let's get to that scene in a second. But
yeah, we'll get there.
So they're watching. What was this movie they were watching? Do you know?
I think it was a Peter Graves movie. Something Killer from Space or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's what I read.
It was Killers from Space.
And Yara has the e-reader, which a lot of people comment on, which kind of feels like a little futuristic, where everything else feels old.
Right, and she's reading The Idiot.
Mm-hmm.
I was setting you up. You got something on The Idiot?
Well, that's a book about you. I thought you were going to have more to say.
Wow.
Too easy. And they even use that joke in the film.
She's reading The Idiot by Dostoevsky. And she references it to Paul, because I guess he's the idiot friend kind of thing. But some of the story plays out with like Jay's experiences. I mean, I'm not so familiar with The Idiot, but based on what I know. I mean, are you familiar with it at all?
No, not at all.
Oh, I just know there's like the character in The Idiot, he's like a prince, I guess, or something. He's in a sanitarium. And he has two love interests, just like Jay kind of does. And he winds up not getting either of them or whatever. I don't know why I said whatever. But he just, even though he's intelligent and stuff, it doesn't work out for him.
Yeah, I see the relevance.
If you read more, I read the synopsis and it makes sense.
Yara says, I have an idea, and then she farts. Now, I did this joke on my niece recently, and she said, oh, dad always does that. I was like, what? My brother does that? Like, to me, that was like a very racy joke. Not a racy joke, but like very edgy stuff.
Yeah. And who knew that this joke predated the movie?
That joke is ancient. That joke is actually in the Bible. Remember, Moses was getting the commandments. God was like, Moses, there's one more. Moses is like, yes, there's 11th one. What's the 11th one? And he's like, just kidding. Go back down the mountain. Abraham was about to sacrifice his son Isaac. God's like, wait. And he's like, oh. And he's like, okay, now kill your fucking son.
That's a pretty good read.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't read the Bible in a while. I must have missed all these jokes.
Peter, you will deny me 3 times. Done.
Anything from the New Testament?
That was the New
That
Testament.
was, oh man.
Wake up. So Jay getting ready for her date. Now she's wearing pink. It's like she's on the threshold of being in that red zone. We see a photo of her with her dad as a kid. You know, the dad is dead. The family is troubled. It's very subtle that like the mom is drunk the whole film. She's not going to be helping them at all.
The father committed suicide, right? Is that, we don't know that, but that's pretty much.
Oh, I did not know that at all.
I think that's why the blood comes out in the end.
Oh,
It fills the pool. I think it's parodying that, but there's such subtle clues, and once you find out, you're like, oh, like the mom's drinking, like you said, she's drunk throughout the film, and then, I mean, I'm jumping ahead, but I'm just going to say that when Kelly is asking what shape it's in, and Jay doesn't want to say it's a dad because she doesn't want to tell her sister,
and she's wearing a shell necklace,
puka shell, right? Or shell.
Just whatever the shell. I don't know.
That is very dated. Nobody's wearing that in this day and age.
That's true. But also there's so much water imagery, and I don't know what my theory on it really is, but it seems like the movie is about the inevitability of death in some way. Just like the poem they read is like very much about the inevitability of getting older and dying. And the ocean is from whence we came and shall return. And something eternal about this imagery.
I thought you were just going to say it's basically about mermaids.
I wish. So they're going to see. Now, this was kind of surprising to me. She's going on a date with Hugh, as he claims his name is.
That's an interesting name to pick.
That would be so far down my list.
Yeah.
But kind of surprised that they were seeing Charade, as you see when they're leaving, which is a cool movie to see.
Yeah.
But Hugh doesn't really seem like the kind of guy who'd be taking her to see Charade. He seems more like the kind of guy who'd be taking her to see Expendables 3.
I don't know what Hugh's game was here. I mean, I know what his game was there, but like I couldn't get a read on him because he looked like a standard bro.
Oh yeah, very. His face annoys me. Nothing. Sorry to the guy if he's listening. If he is, he might end up being the 20th bad review. It's like the 20th hijacker on 9/11. Who will it be? And if you're listening, please rate and review. It's like no one ever listens to us. It takes a second. You don't have to leave the app. Just scroll down. 5 stars.
I don't know. When will they take us seriously about that?
I don't know.
I think it's become a joke. So it's never going to happen now.
Well, the next episode I'll be performing live on a ledge. So get those reviews in.
It's like Lethal Weapon.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely something about his vibe that I was just like, oh, I hate this guy.
Yeah, it's a very skeevy feel.
But I think you're supposed to hate him, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, the fact that he got her infected deliberately.
Now, Rusty, the theater they go to is the Redford Theater, historic Japanese-style theater with a fully functioning Wurlitzer organ in the old Redford neighborhood of Detroit, Michigan. Now, here's the real fact about this. The Evil Dead premiered there, 1981.
Yeah. Interesting. That's the kind of facts I love. I love to hear.
Now, they're playing the shape game, the trade game, I mean.
I just don't know. But before we jump into the trade game, how come he would bring her to a movie? That seems reckless on his part.
That seems incredibly reckless. Like
you're trapping yourself in a dark theater and your back is to where the entity would come from. So you would constantly need to look over your shoulder. And it's so crowded.
Yeah, that's so true. That seems like the last thing he should be doing.
Did he drive to I don't know how far his hangout is from the theater or whatever, but I wonder if he mentally timed how long it would take to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So if he saw it in some part of the area, he knew he had 2 hours before it would get to him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But he was sloppy here.
Charade is 100 minutes long. Yeah.
but he was sloppy here because during the trade game, which I mentioned, he winds up choosing it. But talk about this trade game.
Well, this is a great, just a great piece of writing here where it's the game is that you pick out someone in the crowd that you'd want to trade lives with, and then the person who's with you looks around and tries to figure out who you picked. and
I'm
he
guessing.
picks this little kid because the little kid's got his whole life ahead of him. Because obviously he's like now facing the inevitability of death, as
Yeah.
I am as well. But it's just a great way to set up that he then sees someone who's not there. I'd love to go on a date and do this just to freak the person out. And then like years later, they just happen to watch It Follows and be like, wait a second, that guy was just doing that bit from that film.
That would be great though once they figured
He
it out.
wasn't crazy. Well, I guess he was crazy because why was he so committed to doing that?
I feel like if you meet up with somebody and the energy's not there, you should definitely do it.
I've often thought, I mean, I would never want to do it from the perspective of wouldn't want a woman to be uncomfortable, etc. But I would love to just like fully commit to a character or doing something weird. If you knew the date was already going down, you might as well make some kind of art out of it.
I don't like, you know how like he says that the entity takes on a persona that's either somebody you know and love or a complete stranger.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't that pretty bad on the entity's part where that it would pick somebody that he would pick.
You know, the thing about Hugh, when he says someone in a yellow dress, there's a girl in a yellow dress.
Yeah.
I typed in Audrey Hepburn charade, which is of course the film they're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all the top Google results are her wearing a yellow dress.
Wow.
So is it Audrey Hepburn? Did the creature come to the movie theater, see like, oh, charade's playing, and then turn into Audrey Hepburn?
I would always need it to be like just an average person, because anything like on either side of the spectrum I would be clued in on. If you had to choose a life of being on the run constantly from the thing, or just like boarding yourself up in like a safe house where people deliver you food and stuff, would you do that?
Well, I didn't want to get into this till later, but I actually figured out the way
Really
to escape this thing. This
Let
is
this sit
why.
for a little bit.
Well, I'll just tell you now. This is why David Robert Mitchell, he's pissed if he hears this because he didn't want someone to like hack this successfully, and I actually figured out the perfect solution. Yeah.
Wow.
Hot air balloon.
But how are you getting food?
Drones. I have a hot air balloon, and drones bring me food, and I switch balloon. Like they send up another balloon whenever I need more fuel.
Or they could send up another propane thing.
Yeah. It's not a great life, but it's my life. I'm making the best of it.
Does it know how to do the things all people know how to do? Like, could you just build a tree house and pull up the ladder? Like, would it know how to climb the tree?
I don't know.
Like, what if you had like the Robin Hood kind of thing, the little village in the trees?
A forest city, as Trump in the debate when Trump said forest city, everyone said, "What is he talking about?" I'm like, Robin Hood.
I mean, how much does it know? I mean, it's not human. It takes on, human form.
Yeah.
So, question is, could it do things that we could do? Like if you did, like I said, if you climb up a tree, would it be able to climb, or would it just sit there waiting for you? I guess it would try to like knock down the tree, right?
I feel like this whole scenario is just an excuse for you to climb a tree.
I never really climbed trees as a child, so maybe so.
Wow. I was always climbing trees.
Could it take on the appearance of fictional characters?
Man, imagine, we mentioned Mario and Luigi earlier. What if those guys were following you? What if you're like, hey, look behind me. Do you see fucking Toad? And he's pissing himself with a grin. Like Toad from fucking Mario Brothers?
Would you think it would be weird though if you saw somebody like from like 30 years ago at that point, like a teacher you had, but they were still like that age? Would you be like, wow, they age well? Or would you be like, wait a second, that's the monster?
That would actually be really creepy to imagine. Some of like my teachers from like when I was a kid, kind of like when I look back on them, they feel like very grotesque.
Yeah. Imagine it was like a girl you had a crush on, but she was still like 10 years old. And you're like, what the fuck? This monster's
hold on.
brutal.
Hold on. I'm reporting this to QAnon.
But anyways, back to this. So yeah, so Hugh picks the it and starts immediately acting weird and is just like, all right, let's get out of here. And I mean, Jay's completely like confused by it, and she thinks something's going on, that he saw an X-ray, that he's uncomfortable by stuff, but he's not telling her what's up yet.
Yeah.
His plan won't work if he does.
Yeah, exactly.
But they wind up at a diner. Somehow they managed to get to the diner. He charmed her and
I
calmed her down.
was like, man, this guy came back from that. Wow.
Yeah, and it's blue. If you notice, the background's kind of bluish.
Yeah.
The neon signs are blue, so they're safe there. But there's also somebody walking towards them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they were only in the middle of their dinner, and somebody's walking towards them. Did they have to leave in a rush there as well?
Man, the server who got fucked on their tip when they pulled a runner, like that person never knew that they had a totally legitimate excuse for why they left without paying.
Yeah. I'm just wondering why Jay would meet up with him again if he pulled that move twice in one night.
So then we cut to Kelly walking with
Jay,
with
her sister.
And Kelly's smoking. She's a young kid, but she's secretly smoking. It seems like a very iconic thing, though.
But the mom knows, but the mom doesn't care, but doesn't want to see it. Kind of thing.
Exactly. And you notice they pass a blue van in the driveway as they walk. They're safe. They're safe.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Do you like that knowing, like, especially rewatching it, being okay?
Oh yeah, safe. It just makes everything seem very deliberate and in a way that I feel like, all right, this guy really earned this iconic film that we're declaring it.
And this is also where we're introduced to the guy you called the hunk.
Yeah, Greg. He's the hunk from across the street. He's like a little. He's not like a rich kid, but he's like a little more rich than they are.
But he's washing down that like very dated like blue sports wagon from like what Clark Griswold wanted from National Lampoon's Vacation. Wound up with the other one.
Do you wash your car like that outside, or you go to a car wash?
I would never, ever wash my car. I don't have time for that.
Oh, wow.
Car wash.
Excuse me. Didn't know.
You're learning. Well, you're washing your car? Where are you washing your car?
I can't wash I mean, I would if I could, just for have some fun spray, but that would be hugely against the HOA rules.
You don't have time to wash your ass. How are you washing your car?
That's like the falsest thing anyone's ever said since I have Japanese toilets. I've got the cleanest ass on this podcast.
You said that you used to have a dirty ass on the podcast.
I did. I used to be famous for having a dirty ass. You know, we don't really do clips anymore, but I'm going to put in a clip of my friend Maddie asking me about this very topic.
Like, how did that news spread? It seems insane.
Wait, how did what news spread?
Wait, because you told me, you were like, I used to, before my Japanese toilets, I was known for having a dirty butthole. And it was like, really?
So now we go to that little bit of a backseat humping. Pretty hot stuff there.
Yeah. I always have a problem with movies where the lead keeps the bra on because I feel like that's not realistic. You get completely naked, but actually kind of true. I'm actually fine with this now.
Yeah, me too. I've had a lot of sexual experiences where I've left my bra on. Oh, come on. That's a cheap joke. No, but I have had a lot of sexual experiences where I don't even take the ladies' bra off. Just, I don't want to, it's not about that.
Why did you have to say ladies' bra?
Anyone's bra.
Yeah.
Now, after they have sex and she's like kind of hanging out of the back seat, great shot, and then great shot of like the plant that she's fucking with.
That post-sex banter they're having.
Oh yeah, I'm so good at post-sex banter.
Yeah. What kind of conversation do you have post-sex?
Yeah, babe. So they actually made 2 Tron arcade games, and believe it or not, Tron is not as good as Discs of Tron.
Oh, Eddie, tell me more.
But you need the environmental cabinet. It's a better arcade game, but it's getting rare. There's a guy in Wyoming who gave it to me, but I got to pick it up. He won't ship it.
Did you ever put a girl to sleep with whatever you were saying?
I think I have. I'm sure I have.
This is a question out of left field, but are you a type that gets dressed afterwards, or do you just hang around naked?
No, I'll hang around naked.
Yeah,
but I do like putting on bottoms. I can't remember, like, not that long ago. I can't remember, but I just remember getting up to put on bottoms, and the girl was like, "Why are you putting on clothes?" And I was like, "Well, what if I just like piss everywhere?" And she's like, "Are you gonna piss everywhere?"
Wait, do you need bottoms on so you don't piss everywhere, like to be naked?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I dribble like a Dixie Cup's worth a night.
Do you have plastic sheets? You have plastic sheets on your bed, don't
Rubber
you?
sheets. Rubber sheets. Sometimes I run into bed, I jump in, I bounce right out, almost fall out the window. Oh my
I
God, I
feel
don't
like
know what I'm talking about.
I feel like you say so much on the podcast, personal stuff that people have no idea what's true and what's not true.
I know. That's why I don't push it
We
as
don't
much on my own social media as I should, just because I'm like, well, I sound like a freak.
I think they love the freak. I think they love my character. You never know.
Chloroform,
I hate the chloroform.
that's such bullshit.
Yeah.
But chloroform is such a movie thing.
Yeah, it's such a myth.
First of all, it's like they actually just used it in one of the last episodes of Buffy. And Xander did it to like Dawn. Like he's like, I got to get her out of the situation. So he like chloroforms her. I'm like, first of all, I don't even know if this is real. I think it would take much longer, and I think you probably could risk giving someone like brain damage.
I think for it to even take effect, you have to huff it for like 4 to 5 minutes. So you got to be sitting there huffing it.
Yeah.
What is chloroform actually used for? What's its real
That's another
purpose?
thing I've always wondered about. I mean, I also wonder that with like date rape drugs. Like, where do people buy this shit? Just like, is there like some like scumbag store in like the movie world? Like, how do you find this shit?
I remember my brother came home from a trip, I think, to like the Jersey Shore, and he had a bottle of, remember Spanish Fly?
Yes, I remember.
But it was like a gag. It was like a gag gift kind of thing, and I was just like, "Holy shit, he's got Spanish Fly!" I thought it was like insane that he got access to it.
I remember it from the Leisure Suit Larry games, and I always thought it was like a fictional thing. And then on that podcast about Bill Cosby, it was like that was what he used. And the crazy thing is, like, he would make a lot of jokes about it in his stand-up routine, where he's like, "I go to Spanish Fly," yeah, and like, it's so weird.
Wow,
I thought that was like a fictional thing. He
must have got off on that, being able to be honest to his audience.
Oh yeah,
about what he was.
Yeah, I remember there was someone who had been one of his victims, like in the '60s, and she heard about like him still doing it, and she's like, "He's still doing that," and he's like 80 years old. It's like, oh my God,
all that money.
Yeah.
Remember that book he wrote? Was it Fatherhood?
Yeah, he's gonna
so preachy.
He's gonna tell me how to be a father. Yeah, so preachy. So yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so she passes out from the chloroform, wakes up strapped to a wheelchair.
Yeah.
The post-coitus realization that something's up, that Hugh is not who he says to be.
Yeah. Great way to get out the exposition of what's happening here, though.
I love that scene. And I love that he's like frantically looking around that like parking garage or whatever it is. I don't know where they are, but yeah. Like just by his mannerisms and the way he's telling it, like I feel like you would kind of believe it, or at least you would think he's fucking beyond crazy.
Such a great use. They I wanted to look. I'm actually not sure if the director is from Michigan or not. But in the IMDb trivia, it said, because there had been a really good tax rebate in Michigan for a while. And it said that's where they shot there for the tax rebate. And but it's just like all those abandoned buildings, like I don't know what the movie would be without those. That is just adds such an element to things.
I'm wondering, because he lays out basically the rules about being infected.
Mm-hmm.
How does he know so much? It's not like something that like has been word of mouth that you've heard about. Oh, I've heard about that. It's true. Like he just knows certain things, and some of it you could figure out, but it seems like some of it, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like the rules are like it's either a stranger in the crowd or someone you know and love, and that they might try to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
They want to hurt you. It only walks after you, never runs. There's always only one. Does he say it never speaks, or is that something we just know?
I'm not sure.
But he says you have to pass it. You have to have sex to pass it along, and it will always come after you.
Yeah.
No matter what. That's terrifying.
It is.
How much of it is the entity's control on what shape it takes? Is it part of your own, like, reservations, your own fears and phobias, or is it just like it knows that already? Like, could it take on the shape of, say, if you were terrified of werewolves, can it take on the shape of a werewolf and just come after you?
I think so. And it's very subtle, but in this opening scene, it's taking on the form of Hugh's mother, who we see later in the film.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was Hugh's mother. I had to read that.
It's kind of funny that later, though, when they're at like the beach house and it takes the form of the girl from the opening scene. When it takes that form, it seems like the guy's just like, the entity's just like, I don't know, I'll be that girl for a second. Yeah. I don't have anything better right now.
I just like that though. It takes on the form of your mother, but like naked.
Yeah.
It's like, oh god, my mother's just coming after me.
Sing yourself.
I wonder though, say if you were like Mike Tyson and you got infected, like if it was coming after you, do you have a chance? Can you like give that punching power of Tyson?
I love how it always comes back to Mike Tyson as like the symbol of like someone who's really strong. But I guess he's
As I said that, all I thought in my head was, I think I mentioned Mike Tyson at least in every like other episode, maybe every episode.
You had to grow up in the 80s to know that like the epitome of fucking being tough was Mike Tyson back then.
I just don't get with the entity. Like sometimes it like seems like it's fucking with you a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And other times it's very deliberate that it wants to just get its hands on you, do the job.
It wants to work its way down that chain back to Adam and Eve.
Yeah, I wonder what it gets. Maybe it's like a game show in another realm. And like, they're all watching, like, can it do it? Can it get back to like the first infected?
Yeah, it's like another dimension. It's like, it's taken a whole different way. I mean, it's just like in that opening scene in the pool, when she puts the bug in the water, you know, who knows if that's a water bug or if that's killing that bug. She doesn't think about it at all. Just like this entity doesn't really think about what it's doing to these people. They're just bugs to it.
What does it get out of it though? Paycheck.
I don't know.
But yeah, it's definitely, I don't know. The first time watching this, I was like like years ago when you recommended it, I was like sweating because it was very, very tense.
It's so tense. Although we're not to the most tense scene yet.
No.
But so the
I
kid,
just love.
Oh, sorry, you go.
I was just going to say, I just love that this movie never lets you down either. Like sometimes movies start off strong and by the third act, it's like, oh God, why did it do that? But this movie.
It's funny because I think a lot of people were let down by that pool scene, but the pool scene has gotten better and better to me.
I feel like his explanation, the director's explanation, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, what else are they going to do? You can't really be defeated. So you got to try like what it, your mind is capable of as like a teenager. Like it's not gonna be that sophisticated.
Yeah.
And I like that fails pretty quickly. Their plot.
So the kids, this is another thing. The sister Paul and the friend Yara are playing the game Old Maid. Did you notice this, Rusty? Literally, the goal of this game is to pass the unwanted old maid.
Mm-hmm.
And Old Maid. Think about that.
I'm thinking about it. Let's play. Oh. Let's bring back Old Maid. let's get a group together. There's a group for everything.
And Yara's reading from the book, and she's saying how when everything is falling down around you, sometimes there's the desire just to sit there and wait for it. Man, the other night there was now it's like a month ago, but there was an earthquake, and it was right on the fault line that goes under downtown, which is sure to destroy downtown someday. So I better move soon. It kicked so hard, and as soon as it happened, I scrambled. I picked up my scary knife, but I kept it in the sheath. And I was just like looking around and I'm like, what am I going to do? Try to stab the earthquake? And I was watching Twitch for like, I watch Twitch like once a month. And the person on the streamer is just screaming because she's in the earthquake too. And I'm looking around with a knife. Someone on Twitch is screaming. I'm like, wow, this is 2020.
If it was following you, would you, I'm sure after a certain point, you just broken down, right? Would you just be like, all right, I'm going to take some sleeping pills and that's it?
Yeah.
Let it get me.
Yeah. I think a lot of people probably just give up at a certain point. I did have another idea though of how to deal. If I got infected with this thing, I know what I would do, Rusty. Me, you, and Eric, we would build like a Ninja Warrior course. And so the follower thing would need to go through all these obstacles. It would be like Fall Guys to get to me. People are like, oh, so you're living on the set of NBC's Wipeout. I'm like, yes, I am.
But would it just circumvent most of the obstacles? Take the shortest path to you? Or would it be like, I guess I'm doing the big balls or whatever it was on Wipeout?
It'll take the short. Well, eventually it'll learn. So that's why I got to keep modifying and like doing updates in Fall Guys.
I wonder if it would just give up on you. It'd be like, I'm just going to skip this person, go to the next one. This guy's an asshole. Fuck this.
That's
guy.
my dream.
Yara though, Yara seems like the type of friend that you really don't want as a friend.
Yeah,
she's like, she's still hanging out with us. Oh God, she's so lame. So Hugh pulls up in his car. Kelly's like, what's going on? Everything okay? He just pulls Jay out, throws her on the street, takes off.
It's so well shot in the way that you don't see her until the car pulls away, and she's just like huddled on the ground, and it's like, oh man, that's this. Whatever that date was did not end well.
No, I know, and the police are involved. And then remember when nosy neighbors were a thing?
Oh yeah.
Like the police are there, they're checking her out, making sure she's okay. And then all the neighbors are out in their bathrobes and pajamas. It's on the street, like looking, not helping out or anything, just watching.
And Greg and his sister, I think, are like, they look out their window and the sister is like, those people are such a mess. And that's like, you get like, there's a slight class divide between them and him.
But I also like that, like, I think it's deliberate that all the neighbors are out watching, but nobody's helping.
Yeah.
It's just, adults in this movie are utterly useless.
I've become a nosy neighbor, but only like to help the community.
As a 42-year-old, my thing is I don't get involved. So police are checking it out, and I mean, she's not throwing him under the bus. She just doesn't really have information about him.
Yeah.
She was saying it was consensual. He's not him. He's not who. And the thing is, we don't know who that guy is, and we don't know what's really going on. So we're like Jay in this scene, in the hospital being checked out.
And then in the next scene where the mother is talking, and she's like, we never see her face. We hear her talking on the phone or talking to someone, and she's like, it breaks my heart the things she said, the things that he told her. And I'm like, man, that's so like, that'd be such a weird thing for Jay to be explaining, where she's like, okay, so this entity then like pursues you. And it's like, oh man, my kid's fucking freaking out.
Yeah. I mean, if that happened to you, would you even bother trying to tell anyone?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I would tell my friends. I mean, just like this movie, I would tell my friends, who are the teenagers, and I'm 41.
Would you ease into it? Like, would you be like, can we play Call of Duty? And as we're playing, you'd be like, oh, by the way, let me just tell you something that happened to me.
Yeah, I definitely would.
I'd be like, can we at least try to win?
It's just like Donald Sutherland in Buffy. He's just like, you'll come with me to the graveyard. It's like, dude, open up with like, okay, I'm going to tell you a series of things that have become more and more upsetting.
The next day, though, Jay's home. She's in her bathroom. She's wearing, are they the hospital issued underwear? Because they're gigantic. They
are strange. It's a strange choice for her.
I don't know women wore underpants like that under the age of like 65, maybe 7. But I think maybe there's still the hospital ones, because I don't think hospital gives you anything sexy.
Yeah.
I think they just give you a standard, whatever they have. But she's kind of inspecting herself. She's unsure of herself. And then we get that little cheap scare, the red ball hitting into the window.
Again, another red item. And later, this kid who we see peeping from the roof in a later moment, he's later going to be one of the followers.
Yes.
I really hated, though, when we were a kid, there was like sometimes that you'd have the neighbors that would get pissed off about the ball going in their backyard. It's like, really? It's like, I'm a fucking kid. Fuck yourself.
I'm that person now.
Really? Wow. What a loser.
I'm right here. No, if a kid goes in my backyard, like, I remember playing like Manhunt or Tag and just running on like people's yards, going in the backyard.
Oh yeah.
Going in people's sheds to hide. It's like, imagine seeing like a kid go into your garage, get injured, and then sue you, or the family sues you.
So then we go to school. This reminded me of Nightmare on Elm Street, where I can't remember what they're reading in Nightmare on Elm Street, but it's kind of a similar scene.
Are you familiar with the reading of T.S. Eliot's The Love Song of Jay?
J. Alfred Prufrock. Yes. Yeah, of course. I was an English major.
Really?
I could recite this whole thing if I wanted to, which I don't want to.
Wow.
But really brought something back for me, because there's a line, I should have been a pair of ragged claws, like scuttling across the sea or whatever. This kid we went to high school with, Hartman, that was his yearbook quote. I should have been a pair of ragged claws. There's so many relatable lines in that poem about going bald, about not living your life, even though T.S. Eliot started that poem when he was 22. So go fuck yourself, T.S. Eliot, you poser. But really, I should have been a pair of ragged claws. What kind of fucking person writes that? I never walked down the street and thought like, oh, I should have been a crab. That's pisses me off. That pisses me off.
Who knew this reaction would evoke something inside you?
So Jay she's kind of like looking out the window, and she sees like an elderly lady coming towards her. Very
that's a dead giveaway.
Yeah.
But I do like it because she's kind of staring out the window, and you see this figure appear from across the courtyard.
Yeah, and it's a great touch because she cuts through these two kids who are like talking twice, once in the hallway and before that, but it just sets up that like other people aren't seeing this person in a very natural,
Yeah.
organic way.
I do like that she says hello to it, and the kids like kind of like are confused, like hi,
Yeah.
but she's like not even acknowledging them. She's just like looking at this old woman. I'm curious when they hired this actress. She's clearly old. Does she know what the fuck she signed up for?
I actually looked up this actress, Ingrid Mortimer. Couldn't have an older name.
Yeah, Ingrid.
She's like, I'm actually the last person to get the name Ingrid. They issued it to me, the old lady factory. But she's actually worked on a few movies since then. Still alive, still working, actually.
Good for her.
And this clearly started her career. So it's kind of funny to imagine like all these small movies she's done. They've been like, we got the lady from It Follows. It's like, oh my God, you got like the girl from It Follows. The old lady. Like the old lady. Who is the old lady?
I'm going to blow your mind with something right now.
Yes.
A theory that I've read. You know how the It thing takes on the persona of either somebody you know or a complete stranger?
Mm-hmm.
I read that this old woman was actually Jay later in life, her as an old person. So she was seeing herself aged, which is terrifying.
That's an interesting idea.
How terrifying would that be? Imagine you were getting chased by it and you saw yourself old and you're just like, oh man, I really went downhill.
I saw another theory that the thing only becomes people it has previously infected.
Oh, really? So
that doesn't really hold up. That doesn't really hold up with Yara when it becomes Yara.
Yeah.
But then the same person was theorizing that she's been infected, but just hasn't really told anyone. But it seems like she's really chill.
But what about the little kid though? So that little kid had sex? The neighbor?
I guess that's where that theory falls apart.
And what about what about your theory of that could have been Audrey Hepburn? So she could have been infected?
That's how she died.
She
like during the Oscar montage of like dead people, it was like, oh, so sad what happened to her. Found it twisted on the beach.
I think that theory is shit. I like mine better.
Yeah, I agree. No, your theory is better.
The little kid. Poor little kid's like
he's like, you're not gonna believe this. I had sex. Hey, why are you walking towards me?
You know that little kid's never passing it along either.
Oh God, yeah. Although when he had those like weird marks on his face, maybe that was like syphilis. Okay, that's enough.
But I do like that Jay's alerted to something and gets out of there.
Yeah.
But I wonder, like, are you convinced at that point that maybe that guy was being honest, or do you think like, oh, I'm fucking losing it?
No, I mean I think she's definitely convinced. Although I think the one more attack really puts her over the edge.
Oh, yeah.
But then she goes to the ice cream shop, which is a real ice cream shop. I want to make a pilgrimage to this place. I wonder if they've got a poster up. Do you think they got a poster like It Follows, shot here? Kelly and Paul are both wearing blue work aprons. They're totally still safe. You know, they don't really believe her, but they're gonna like help her out.
Yeah.
But that sleepover scene, I love that. It's probably the most tense scene in the film, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I just wonder one thing with Hugh before we talk about that scene.
Mm-hmm. With who?
How long has he had Hugh?
With who?
Hugh.
Yeah.
No, Hugh. Yeah. Hugh. How long has he had it for?
I'm not sure.
Because he seems pretty well versed in how it functions, and he has that place in the slummy side of Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
So he's obviously been doing this for a while. I guess it always comes back to him. He could have had it for years, I guess.
That's true. The one thing about that was, it's like, would you really put newspaper up to cover your windows? I feel like you'd want windows. I feel like you want to move to like a lighthouse. You could see it coming from a mile away.
That's a good idea. Lighthouse too.
Yep.
Just seal the entrance.
Seal the entrance. Get like a pulley system to whenever you need to resupply.
Yeah.
You can drop the stuff off. I'll be like, thanks, sailor. Like with the bullet.
What if you got a houseboat though?
Oh, that's another great one. Yeah.
Would it be able to board another boat? Well, it wouldn't be able to maneuver it. So
yeah,
what would it
boat
do?
actually is like the greatest. I didn't even think of that. Man, wow.
What about join the space program and go up to the space station?
You know, I'm not really claustrophobic, but I have this Blu-ray, 3D Blu-ray I sometimes watch. Space Station 3D, narrated by Mr. Tom Cruise. But it's so claustrophobic. It's so small. It's like, really? That's the best you could do? It looks like shit.
Isn't it super expensive to send each pound to send up into space? It's like a ridiculous.
I mean, I guess so, but man, just to go through these like tunnels and shit, like, come on, give me something. Give me like a big room.
I feel like it would be really cool for like maybe a week, and then you'd be like, start freaking out.
Yeah. I bet the whole time though you are like, I'm in space. That's so weird, dude.
I don't know. And then it's like, oh, I got to take a shit. Let me get the vacuum hooked up to my ass and suck it out.
Woo.
I wonder though, in space, how do you think your allergies would fare? Like, is there allergens in the station?
No, I think you'd be like perfectly fine. I think there's probably no allergies.
I'm signing you up for that.
That's where I'm going.
Mission to Mars.
The mom's passed out with some wine bottles on the dresser. We know that she's not going to be any help in this film. Jay can't sleep. She joins Paul, who's eating some popcorn. That looked comfy as hell, didn't it?
Yeah. It's like you took the words right out of my mouth. It did. I can so relate to that. Do you remember being like a kid and you like, if you didn't have something to do at night and you just have like TV on, just like those couches back then were just big, massive, like ugly.
So
but
ugly.
They were somewhat comfy. Like those very itchy blankets.
Yeah.
But there's something about it.
So true.
Even then you're like, oh, this is it. Eating snacks. I feel like I can't do that in this day and age.
Yeah. Paul says, "Are you okay? Everything's going to be cool." Those are very reassuring words.
I don't know if I would have done much better.
Yeah.
How much do you hate Paul? Like he's so desperate.
I hate him. My most hated part of him. Well, I hate the pathetic ways that he's trying to get her to sleep with him, where he's like, "I liked you too." But I hate when they're like kind of reminiscing about like pulling like the porno magazines out of like the guy's shack, whatever it is. And I hate the way he's like, we were such stupid kids. It's like, dude, you're still a kid. Fuck you. You think you're an adult?
Yeah, they're still in high school. Are they in high school or college?
They're in high school.
College, right?
Oh, they're in high school.
Oh, they're still in high school. God, Jesus.
We were such stupid kids. Oh, I hated that. I don't know why. But this is so suspenseful. After the window gets broken and he leaves and she's like going to go check.
Wasn't he there to protect her? He was such a coward in that moment.
He was such a coward. And also she's like, oh, should we call the police? And he's like, I'll wake up your sister. She should call. And it's like, she should call. I had to put the captions on and watch that again because I was like, what did you just say there? She should call. Does he think that he can't call because it's calling from her house?
Is that a little bit of a sloppy writing to get from point A to B?
I kind of think it was, but I also think you could kind of chalk it up to be like idiot kid logic where he's like, oh, it's your house, so she's got to be the caller.
Yeah. But it's interesting. I felt like to me when she's going into the kitchen to investigate that, I feel like the scene was so slowed down.
Yeah, I think it does enter like real slow motion when she's in the kitchen.
Okay. But she's still moving in a way that it doesn't seem like slow motion. It just seems like the adrenaline's going.
Yeah.
Where like everything's slowed down, but in real time.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Then you get that.
Then the naked. It's like you think you're out of the woods, but then you see that naked lady in the piss, and that's some scary stuff. And she just freaks out. Very great acting here by her, and runs upstairs. And then it's so tense when she's like, "I need water! I need water!" Keeping with the water theme. At that moment, I wouldn't really even be thinking about water, but
yeah, I love that the barricade. She barricades herself in the room, and then like Paul and the sister are like outside.
Yeah,
like so that becomes a thing. Like, who can you trust?
Yeah, it's a great moment. Although it annoys me just because Yara's a little annoying. But when she knocks on the door and it's like, "Who is it?" And she's like, "It's me." Like the way she says it is like so weird. It's like, why are you trying to sound like a weird ghost right now? Like. Something about her energy sounds so weird.
I like that even though you knew what was going to happen, it still was scary.
Oh, yeah.
It's still like, oh.
She comes in, and then behind her comes like a really tall guy. I feel like this is one of the more famous moments in the movie as well.
Yeah.
This was Mike Lanier, a 7'7" Detroit resident who designs engines for General Motors. And he's one half, Rusty, of the world's tallest twins. That could be my front court of my basketball team right there. Yeah. Those two guys.
You love tall people, and you love putting together a dream team.
I do. Two things I love. You know, there's more and more tall people these days. It used to be that if you were 7 feet tall, you're automatically in the NBA. Now the majority of my friends are over 7 feet tall. It's totally normal.
I feel like when I'm in public, I notice a lot of women are taller than me now. Do you ever notice that? I feel like I'm 5'11", and I feel like so many girls are like 6 foot plus.
Yeah. I'm 6'4", so I don't really notice that
Okay.
as much.
You're still wearing those Cuban heels.
Yeah.
From
The listeners
70s.
were like,
You're like this movie.
they're like, I never imagined him as 6'4". This totally changes my conception. No, I'm also 5'11".
No, you're taller than me. You're like 6 foot.
Yeah, I'm actually 5'11". You're like a 5'9.5" who's inflated in the team program.
That's not true. I just. But yeah, so the tall man enters, and that house, man, had multiple exits, so she got lucky.
Yeah, earlier Hugh tells her never go in a place with like less than 2 exits.
Now I remember you used to say when we would go out for dinner or whatever, and we would eat in a restaurant, you would always take the corner that looked the exit or the entrance.
That's complete bullshit. I don't because that's like such a tough guy thing to do. You're the guy who does that. I remember
I don't do that.
You were like, I gotta sit facing the door, and I was like, "Who are you, fucking Wolverine?"
I never did that. I was. Did I ever tell you that I went to a wedding one time, and it was like the friends. She was just graduated college, so it was a lot of her college friends, and I was seated with them, and I didn't know any of them besides the person I went with. And one of the guys was like the lamest dude, just telling like the worst jokes and stuff. But all the people at the table thought he was so funny.
I hate him already.
But then he was just like, I'm just going to eat my food on their table. That would be really outrageous. And he went underneath the table and ate like his dinner under there. And I was just like, I hate this guy so much. This is the lamest thing I've ever seen.
Ate under the table?
It was so clearly for attention too, because he would like make it clear he was like eating under the table.
Wow, that's pathetic. I would have taken like the steak knife and been like, "Hey, if you guys hear screaming for the next minute, it's a joke we do. Don't worry about it. But don't expect to see him for dessert." I'd be like Tunnel Rat from G.I. Joe going down there.
Tunnel Rat. It's one of your favorite characters too.
Yes, it is.
Just gave you that little flashlight.
Oh my god.
Going down there. Yeah, like feet sticking out. Like, should we pull him out? He's been down there for a while.
I got a flashlight recently, 1,500 lumens. Wow, I'll blind anyone with this thing.
Is that good? Is that a lot? I don't know what 1,500 lumens mean.
The sun is only 2,000.
You're burning people's skin off of them.
So she runs off, goes to like the playground at night. I feel like up until my 30s, I was going to like playgrounds at night, hanging out. Don't do that much anymore, though. This is where we get Greg.
I'm learning a lot.
Greg's a likable guy. I liked Greg.
Greg, I think you're not supposed to like Greg, but he's like the real good guy in this.
Yeah, he reminds me of myself. Like he's kind of the alpha.
Yeah, but you're not that nice. Maybe you are. Actually, I genuinely believe that you would like go get your car and be like, "I'll help you out."
Oh yeah, I would. But I'd also be,
I'd
be working for the follower on the side too, though. I'd be like, "I'll cut a deal with you, entity." It's just like staring at me.
Is there? I wonder if there's any reason. What would you do to convince the entity? I could get you more.
Hans Bubby.
You are that guy. What if you sleep with multiple people though? Can you? Is it only one per customer?
Well, it's like later when they go to like the sex workers, like, you know, I feel like you could bump it up the chain quite a bit.
Hmm. What if you have a gangbang though? Is it like when you come?
Well, yeah, that is like, you know, that's like if I go to my hot air balloon and I throw cum at people down below, can that get me out of it?
Some crazy guy.
That was really great. I love living in our town, but there is one drawback. If you got a hot air balloon, you're not going to want to go below it. Man, when the realtor's showing people a house, they're like, look, I gotta be honest with you. Like, I'm having trouble with this guy in the balloon who throws cum down at people. It's like, oh, everyone has a character. Every neighborhood has a character. He's ours, you know? Just think about it. Like, remember that Pixar film Up? It's like that, but with more cum.
Wait, so you're just hovering over your like where your house would be?
I'm anywhere. Well, if I plan to hit people with this cum I'm throwing, I need to be over like the city center.
So you're not around the world in 80 days. You just
well, maybe I am. Oh, that'd be great. Then this fucking thing is probably spread far enough. I don't have to worry for a long time.
Italians hear you're coming. Oh no, it's a coming.
It's like, it's kind of like the story of the green ribbon where the girl gets married and she's like, I can never take off the ribbon. And then she finally does. And it's like her head falls off. I'll get married and be like, but something's bad's going to happen in like 5 years. And like, she's like, what could be worse than when you were in that balloon throwing cum at people? I can't believe I got over that. I told my parents to never Google you. Like, well, in 5 years, you're going to see why I was doing that.
Oh man, there you have it.
There you have it.
I love the metamorphosis of you. I would love to revisit some of our early episodes to see where you started. You're just getting crazier and crazier.
Blood Rage, I was like a jock, dude. I was dating models. I was like playing ball. I was like a cool guy.
Now this.
Now I better not see like stats go up on the Blood Rage episode because that's too early. Don't listen to that one. Listen to more recent ones.
Oh please. Yeah.
Don't listen to the early ones, people.
Doom Asylum's a hot episode right now.
That is a hot one. That's early, but you can listen to it.
I do notice, I looked at our stats and I did notice that most of our horror films have been getting bumped. So maybe people are seeking out horror related podcasts during this time of year.
Wow. That's great.
Makes sense.
For the Arches of Horror revival.
Yes, perfect.
Now, speaking of horror, this looks a lot like the same house from the film Don't Breathe, also starring Daniel Stamato.
Did you ever see Don't Breathe? I think you did, right?
No, I never did. Just looking at your notes.
I didn't love Don't Breathe, by the way.
I gotta check it out someday.
Yeah. I don't know. I won't recommend it, but yeah, it definitely looked like the house. It looked like the area. It looked like they had the same set for that one.
Now, Rusty, this was a style of house called the American Foursquare, popular in the 1890s through the 1930s. Now, the idea of this house was to have a circular traffic pattern where you can go through several rooms and return to the starting point without ever reversing your path. Now, this is an interesting house for you to go in if you're in this kind of situation.
Yeah. I just have to say that I love when you clearly read something, but it's like, oh, he's reading something right now. It's very obvious that this is reading. He's not citing what he's reading.
IMDb trivia.
Clear. Yeah. I mean, I didn't even notice that. Like, did you notice that about that house? I mean, so we're told.
Yeah. I on the second viewing, I was like, oh, that is kind of a weird house.
Yeah, I did like that, how dilapidated it was.
Yeah.
That the mirror in the bathroom, like, did it fall or whatever, but you can see the other person in the other room.
Oh, yeah.
That little scare. Was there any blue, though, in this scene where, like, Jay looks out the window and sees the guy, like, walking by and, like, looks up, but it's not the being?
Yeah. No, I didn't really notice that there.
There's a lot of moments in this movie where there is somebody in the background, like, walking towards them.
Yeah.
Where the characters are completely oblivious to it. So this was not one of those moments, I don't think. I mean, this is pretty obvious, like, very intentional.
Great detective work, though, in finding out who he is. Like, they find the picture, they see his, like, varsity jacket. They're like, oh, lost in high school. And then they take the yearbook to the high school, and the person in the office explains that it's him. And also in this moment, we see that there's a follower that they never notice when they're in the school.
Mm-hmm. That's I think one of the better creepy scenes too.
Yeah.
It's so unintentional. Like on the first viewing, most people wouldn't see it because it's just that quick camera pan, 360-degree shot, and you see the girl in the white jacket. Like you see everybody else is conversing, and their backs are to the camera or whatever, and then you see one person in the distance walking towards the camera, and it's like, did I see that? So they figure out who Jeff is, and they find out where he lives, and Jay shows up there, knocks on the door, and the mother answers him. She asks to see Jay, and she said, sure, he's inside. Invites the friends in. So they're sitting in the backyard talking with Jeff. Jeff. So they're sitting in the backyard talking with Jeff now. Is it weird to me that the backyard is a soccer field?
It is weird because it's like it's like you could clearly see that this is a real condition happening, and know, these are real houses, but all the houses are backed up to like the school or something. And that moment when the girl passes and he's like, can you see her? Can you see her? And like the girl like turns to them with like a really intense look, but it's just like a normal, just weird girl.
Jeff is like disheveled now. He's like a nervous wreck.
Yeah.
Like he seems like he's on edge. I mean,
he should think to himself, like, as long as she's alive, then I know that I'm at least okay till she dies.
yeah. Is it weird to you that he can see it still? Like,
yeah, but it's, that's one of the things that you just accept, because they do set it up. Like in his first scene, he's like, I can still see it.
But do you always see, like, are you seeing what you think you're seeing? Or are you seeing what they're seeing?
I think you're seeing what they're seeing.
But the one thing when Greg is infected with it and she sees Greg.
That's true.
It's, I guess it's part in your head. I don't know. We don't know how it works. We'll never know. Yeah, we need that origin story. We need that Pharaoh's curse.
Yeah, so then they get more info from him. What info did they really get in this scene, though, that they didn't already know?
Yeah, I think they established everything that he basically says, sleep with someone, pass it along.
Yeah. And he says, you're a girl, it'll be easy for you.
Yeah, and he got look.
Oh, boy. But kind of, what's that sound in the background? Is that your dog?
The dog's coughing. All right, he's fine now.
So that proves for anyone listening, I did not yet kill Rusty's dog. Man, this guy on this podcast, someone lied about him killing cats, and now he lies about himself killing dogs. Is he trying to get a 20th bad review?
It's like the Faces of Death thing where they're like carving up the dog, but it's a stuffed animal.
Okay, he said he was trying to stab an earthquake. I'm not sure if he's going to stab an earthquake and go up in a hot air balloon and throw cum at people. Things are devolving, but they decide to go to Greg's lake house.
They have some R&R. Little retreat.
Well, yeah, I like the kind of vacation feel they have here. It brought me back to some times when that kind of stuff used to happen.
Yeah, I mean, she learns how to shoot a gun. What kind of gun was that? You're an expert.
I believe it to be a Smith & Wesson 38 revolver. It's hard to say what model. I mean, I could name any gun in any film anytime.
Okay, how about, I'm going to say Die Hard. That's a good one.
Oh my God. That's literally the easiest. You just walked into this one. John McClane is using a Beretta. Hans Gruber is using some kind of HK pistol. The machine gun they use is an MP5. The dumb gun at the end is, of course, a Steyr AUG.
I don't know how you know this.
I told you I could name a movie. I'll tell you the guns.
Let's try something. Let's go Willy Wonka.
Actually, he used a machete to kill the kids in that film.
Wow, that took such a dark turn.
That's the only kind of turn I know how to take.
That one scene where Jay is sitting in the beach chair relaxing. Why would she have her back turned with like the one area where the thing would come from?
That is funny, but it just sets up a great moment though, where we see Yara coming, and then we see that she's like in the tube. I still remember being in the theater and people gasping at that moment.
That was a great moment.
And then a great, like the way that everyone sees that the hair is going up, and so just to get everyone else on board with what's happening here.
Yeah,
I have an idea though. Sorry, it's farted.
Is that staying in? Do you think Paul deserved what he got? Like, did the crowd cheer when he saw it in theaters?
Oh yeah, I love. He tries to hit it with a chair, that he gets hit. He flies back like so far.
Yeah, his ribs were like pretty broken. It seems like the one guy, Greg, though, who's the good guy. This is like so unsure about it. He's like, "There's no one out here."
Yeah, that's true.
So he's like helpful, but not convinced. He's the type of guy that needs to see it with his own eyes.
They go to the boathouse and lock themselves in. They're all freaking out at this point, and like you said, Greg still doesn't believe. Another great scare here, where the door gets blown open, and he's like, "I didn't do that," and they're like, "It did it, and then like the little kid comes through. I like how the little kid has a little kind of like decay on his face, like when the entity was like pondering who it should be. It's like, oh, I'll be that little kid. It's like, he looks weird, but he's not scary enough. And it's like, what would make him kind of seem like he's dead? It's like, ooh, that'll get him. That'll get him.
See, I also like that she went through the training with the handgun, and she shot the thing, and it went down for like a second. So it's just like, oh fuck, this thing can't be stopped so easily. There's no way to.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. And then we see the tall. I mean, this thing's taking on all different forms. in this moment.
Oh yeah, I like the idea. The entity's kind of like it sees like a weird kid. It's like, oh yeah, let me file that one away for later. That's kind of an interesting face. They don't want to see a model. They want to see this kind of Ozark looking motherfucker. It always annoyed me that like guns work on this thing, but the way that it works only for like a second is like kind of fun actually.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because it could touch you, you could touch it. It would just fucking kill you. So I guess the gun shooting it would make sense.
Yeah.
No problem with that.
Yeah. So then she ends up fleeing, leaving all of them behind.
This is the one thing I found a little problematic in the movie.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you agree?
I do, just because like everyone's running after her, and you're like, come on, look in the rearview mirror, see that they've outrun the thing, come to a stop, get them all in the car, let's go. Yeah.
But instead, she like is this panics. Another car's pulling out of a driveway. She crashes into like the cornfield or wheat field.
Yeah, you knew they love filmmakers love cars going through cornfields. That's just the thing that they love.
They do. Interstellar.
I don't even know her. She plows into the thing and then wakes up in the hospital.
Yeah, I feel like she would have been either unconscious for too long, or like they would have left her there because she could have been potentially seriously injured. I mean, the being wasn't that far behind, and she didn't get that far away. I don't know.
Yeah, not at all.
Unless the only thing I could think of is maybe the car that was backing out, like pulled her in and took her to the hospital, and that they were smart enough to be like, "Oh, we should leave her where she is until professionals arrive."
So then Greg in the hospital with her, they have sex.
Can you imagine that? Imagine having sex in a hospital.
I love a hospital bang. The girl's always like, "Are you timing the pumps to the beeps to the beeps of my machine?"
I thought you were going to say like you're in a full body cast.
He's taken the thing, and we see a shot of him flirting with a bunch of girls at college. This brought me back to my days of charming 3 girls at once in college.
That's a weird scene though, because it's like cut into that, and then it's like back to the hospital again.
I love the sweater of the girl who's not facing the camera. It's a cool sweater.
Do you think he banged all of them or just one?
I think just one. You could tell that he kind of picked that one.
I feel like knowing that I'm infected, although it didn't seem to bother him that much. But if I kind of I think you would always think it's a half truth. There's something like, Yeah. So I feel like being in the mall, trying to pick up girls, and also having that in the back of my mind, it would be a disaster for me.
Wait, was it a mall? I thought it was like a college campus.
Oh, college thing. Yeah, whatever. Well, for me, I can't go to the college. I would go to the mall.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Be kind of imagine going to college in your 40s and being like, "Hey, look, so I'm getting chased by a demon. I'll be honest with you. I'm getting chased by a demon. You guys, you're partying. You have a good time. I'm going to sleep with you. You can sleep with like 5 other people. Spread it. Just spread it, okay?"
I like it.
Sir. Security has already been called.
I got kicked in the head by a horse on the way in there.
I don't know why I'm talking like this. Look, just come on. Help me out here. Do
you think you could do that though? If you believed that you were infected, do you think you could pass it along? Like do that to somebody else?
I feel like you would have like a Willy Loman level game. It's like, come on, please. I'm just trying to have sex here. I can't tell you why.
I feel like I would give off such a creepy vibe that like sex workers wouldn't even be like willing to be, keep going, move along.
I never use Tinder. I want to like reactivate my account and like make my bio like, I am being pursued by one of the entities it follows. I need to sleep with someone, and then you can sleep with someone.
I think
I'd get some matches just so people be like, are you for real right now, dude?
Some people probably would appreciate that. You never know.
Yeah, I think so. If I wrote it in a funny way.
Did it in a funny way. Did it as a crazy person. I don't know. I just feel like that's a lot of pressure. It's a big meatball to have over your head.
Yeah, it really is. We see her at home, and she looks out her window, and she sees Greg coming down the street. Another great moment.
I love this.
And you can just tell that the way the Greg's walking, you're like, that's not him. That has to be.
I love that she taps on the glass too to say like hi.
Yeah.
But then he like breaks the window on his own house.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh fuck, this is not Greg.
And then she follows another great moment when she follows it inside. And I love how it just looks at her, because it's like, I'll get to you after him, but like now I've got to get him.
Do you think it's a violation of the rules though?
No, I think that's following the. I think it's kind of it's like a chilling thing too. The way it's like,
I like that Greg never saw anything until this moment. Like, and even then, he probably wasn't entirely convinced because he's like, "What the fuck, Mom?"
Yeah.
And
You would
just
think just by the way that she was knocking, he'd be like, "There's something wrong here."
Yeah, and then she's naked when he opens the door, or like partially naked.
And then the mom is like fucking him, which is like, okay, so this is like a succubus demon, I guess, and like, so or is like, is it always fucking you? Is that what like the girl from the opening scene with her leg broken?
I'm imagining that now because if you think about it, if they're position where you're holding the leg up, maybe it's like ram the leg over.
Yeah,
I know. I mean, it is fucking has some superhuman strength, so probably fucks you to death. But he died pretty quickly, so
yeah, he died really quickly, and it seemed like it like sucked some essence out of him or something because he's already like looking like white dead.
Yeah, I like the way it looked though. It kind of had a like life force vibe to it, but in a good way.
It did. It kind of looked just the way that the film looks at that moment too. He looks kind of like the little kid from The Grudge, all grown up.
I never seen The Grudge. Is that weird?
Not really. I mean, it's like so forgettable, even though I could picture it perfectly. But you know,
well, I hope our listeners get that visual. Or else you just look like an asshole.
I really hope so. I just wish that kid could grow up, go to school, just live his normal life as like a ghost kid.
I've never seen it.
So Jay wakes up in a park having slept on her car hood.
Yeah.
Another evocative kind of ambiguous scene here where she sees like some bros on a boat and we just see her looking at them and thinking, and then in the next scene we see her looking disturbed and wet. So we're not sure if she passed it on or not.
Yeah, we're left guessing. Do you think she did? I mean, this is all, I guess, up to the viewer, right, to decide?
Man, the luck for those guys changed so quick because they were like, oh my God, like a hot chick just flagged us down. We had like a gangbang. That's amazing. And then it's like, oh, bro, that's your mom over there. Your mom's coming and she's like pissing herself. What? Oh my God. Good day gone bad for them.
Yeah, but those bros, they deserve it.
Oh, dude, I'd kill them myself right now. I'll kill the actors. I don't even care.
They just see you show up at the house. Bro, who are you?
They're like, that guy's carrying every gun from Die Hard. Why?
Dude, you realize I'm just an actor. It's interesting, though, that it goes from one water scene to her pool being wrecked.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like a loss of innocence and then like her safe zone. Like she's at her lowest point now.
Yeah.
It's pretty overt with that. And where are we at?
And they're in the bedroom and Paul is like, I liked you too. And he like tries to hold her hand too. It's like, you just hate him in this moment.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that she's like so weak and vulnerable and he's trying to take advantage and it's about him.
Yeah.
So Paul, like in this moment after that, he gets on her good side again. And he's just like, I have an idea. Do you trust me? And he comes up with this plan, like when they were kids, where they used to go when they were younger.
Yeah.
And once again, we're settling on some more water.
Yeah. And this is kind of, I think this moment really alienates a lot of people because unlike a lot of movies, you don't see them like talking about the plan. Like an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, they would always be like, okay, we're going to do this. And then it'd be like, well, what if that happens? Like instead we're kind of in the dark about what they're doing. And then as we see them doing it, you're like, what the hell is this plan? But as the director said, Rusty, I think you have this quote here.
I do. And well, he says it's the stupidest plan ever.
Yeah.
It's a kid movie plan. It's something that Scooby-Doo and the gang might think of. And that was sort of the point. Mm-hmm. What would you do if you were confronted by a monster and found yourself trapped within a nightmare? Ultimately, you have to resort to some way of fighting it that's accessible to you in the physical world, which is very true for these kids. Like, what other means do they have?
I mean, besides hairspray and a lighter, I don't know.
That's pretty much what they're doing.
That really is. I mean, the idea of throwing like a bunch of appliances into a pool, like that is such a kid idea, and it's also kind of a compelling idea too. And as we saw earlier in like the sci-fi movie they were watching, it's referenced there too.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a problem with that either, because of especially the way it plays out. Like the fact that it's foiled so quickly once the being shows up.
Yeah,
it's just like, oh, they realize that's not going to work. It's useless.
I feel like the pool plan was good because it's kind of electricity is so elemental. I feel like they also could have like gone to a house and rigged it to burn down,
Mm.
and then like trap the creature, try to burn it.
It burns.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's a good plan. That's now we know what you would do.
I'll be living on the set from NBC's Wipeout. I'll have it all rigged to explode, and then of course I'll fuck it up and blow myself up.
Imagine like you know what you should do? You should get the Home Alone house and just booby trap it with all those things.
Oh, that's what we should have referenced a long time ago. That would be great.
It's like getting through the window, steps on the ornaments. It's like, my feet. Burns its head with a blowtorch.
Man. And they said that they could get pissed off and gets more aggressive.
But he can't go any faster.
Real pissed off.
You have that like the rope set up from the attic to your clubhouse and just fucking pull your way out of there. And the thing's just watching you like, fuck, that guy's good.
So they're leaving for the plan, and we see the weird neighborhood kid on a bike wearing red. So trouble is looming. And then a shock moment that people talk about a lot from this movie of there's like a naked guy on the roof. Now, how is it up there? Why is it not moving? You know, usually it takes the direct path that like would just go through the door or a window. But we get the sense this thing's getting a little more cunning here because it's getting pissed off. So we see them we see her in the pool, and that kind of interesting shot of her looking like headless with like her reflection from underwater. And we see them setting up all these electro devices, and we're like, where do they get all this shit from? Like what's going on?
They carry it there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the being shows up, which is a very startling moment because she's like, it's here. It's like, oh shit.
It's great how we don't see it at first. Like I like how there's a delay there.
It's interesting that leading up to it, the other kids that are out of the pool are so nonchalant. They're just relaxing. Like Yara's like on her e-reader eating candy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You think they would be aware of like the severity of this situation.
Yeah.
It's like, our friend could be potentially killed.
Eating like a Twizzler in that kind of nonchalant way. I don't think I could do that in any kind of stressful situation. I can't even eat Twizzlers that relaxed now. Like I could eat a Twizzler that relaxed if the election goes okay, climate change is solved. I eat candy as if I'm in a trench getting shelled in World War I.
I don't know what that means.
I just got all this candy for my lobby candy bowl.
It's
almost all gone. It cost me $50. I'm gonna go broke. Love to mash those Reese's peanut butter cups and Kit Kats together.
Oh, interesting. What other concoctions you got?
I mean, that's the one. That's the good one.
How do you mash it together? What are you doing?
With my hands? What the fuck is this?
You're a fucking animal.
But it comes in and she's like, there's right there. And then she doesn't want to tell her sister that's taken the form of their dead dad. And he's wearing like a dad outfit, like a tank top and like the boxers basically. Yeah. And he's angrily throwing the appliances at her, which Quentin Tarantino in his quote he didn't like. He was like, that you're breaking your own rules. He's like, now it's throwing things. But I found that so visceral. Like there's also like one thing he throws that looks like it almost hits the camera. Every time I jumped.
Yeah. Did the director deliberately do that? Like where the being smarter and more pissed off that like it could learn and it knows like it's not just like you're gonna walk blindly into the water.
Yeah. And it says like he says early, Hugh says in the scene where he's establishing the rules of it, he's like, it doesn't say anything, but it is smart.
So yeah, you can't get a fast one on the being in this one.
And then if you didn't hate Paul enough, this fucking kid is like firing a gun blindly at a ghost.
Yeah. He winds up shooting Yara in the leg.
Yeah.
And but Kelly manages to, shoot throw the sheet over its head.
Yeah.
That old trick.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that it is invisible. It's not like just in your own imagination coming after you. Like it has that power. So it's like the Predator.
Yeah.
And Paul manages to shoot it. So now it's in the water with Jay.
Yeah.
And as she's trying to get out of the pool, it grabs onto her. And it's cool because there's that scene when they're talking with Jeff and about it, and she's putting blades of grass on her arm or on her leg. And it kind of leaves the same marks. So
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, so the same kind of. And then Paul firing blindly into the water because he's like, "Where is
oh
it?"
my god, that was like, is there something wrong with this guy's brain?
You got to chalk it up. If you were in that, you would just be doing whatever. What would you do?
Well,
Karate kick in the air, up and hit it?
I'd be shooting, but I've got like the skills of like a special ops fucking soldier, dude. This kid's just firing blind.
I wonder if you got some infrared, if you could see it. If he gives off a heat signature.
That gives me an idea for like an Alien style sequel where it's like a bunch of Marines fighting this creature. I didn't even get laid. I'm getting chased by a demon. My mom's pissing herself. Oh man. Actually, though, I did read that Tom Quinn of Radius, which was the company that made this, now he's at Neon. Not that anyone cares, but he said he wanted to do a sequel where it's in reverse. This is It Follows. He wanted the sequel to be called Follow It. And basically, Micah Monroe and the rest of the gang would be following the creature down the chain, whatever that fucking means.
Yeah, I don't
kind
get
of
it.
like this movie in reverse. I don't get it either.
Keep finding the people. I mean, that makes sense, but I mean, it's better than the origin story you mentioned before, like going back to like ancient Egypt. Curses released.
They follow back to Adam and Eve. I never should have eaten that apple. Now I'm getting stalked by a creature. That's what the snake was. Oh, this is the snake in the Oh my god.
I hate it.
Wow, this is becoming way too Christian.
Yeah.
But whatever. It hits the thing in the head. This time it balloons into this blood. This is when I said it got so loud. That volume got crazy.
Flashbacks over here.
And she like crawls up to look over, and then just the way the blood is spreading, it's just like that really sums up the whole theme of like the inevitability of death, you know.
But is the threat over?
Well, no, of course not. Paul finally gets his piece of the action, man. What a pathetic. Sorry.
Why they're wrapping up this scene in the pool though? Wouldn't it be a good time to get Yara some medical attention? She was shot and she's just like sitting on the floor bleeding out.
They're like, we never liked her actually. Like we're ready to say goodbye.
It would have been cool if he shot the e-reader. It's like, no, she'd be lost without it.
They're like, are you okay? She's like, blocked it. Good thing I had this with me.
I don't know what movie that would be. But yeah, so Paul finally gets his wish, you were saying?
Yeah, he finally gets his wish, and then, you know, he drives to like a rough part of town. This is like, even though it's a scummy thing to do, it does seem like the thing they should have done a long time ago, because that could have gotten past like so many steps up the chain.
It would have been like Frankenhooker movie. Want a date? Yeah, I think that's what would have been my plan. I think I would have just every couple days visit another sex worker.
Yeah.
That's my life until I like get old and tired of doing that. Be like, I can't do it anymore. You know what the dumbest thing though is? That Paul has his whole life ahead of him. He's only like, what, 16, 17?
Mm-hmm.
And he chooses to take on this curse. Imagine like him and Jay are not going to last. Imagine he makes it to adulthood, he gets married and having to explain this to his wife.
Oh yeah.
We're going to have to constantly relocate every couple years.
I mean, think about the random people that you had crushes on or dated when you were like 16 or 17. You're like the rest of your life, you're connected to them, which is kind of the point in a way. And then they're walking down the street holding hands. You got to feel bad for Jay here because you're like, she doesn't like this guy. Like Paul has completely like taken advantage of her, like her PTSD basically. And they're both wearing white, but being followed by someone in red.
Well, the interesting thing is there's a guy raking leaves with a bright red jacket on.
Oh yeah,
as they're walking, and then you see the person behind them walking. So, what do you think? What do you make of that? Do you want to believe that they're being followed by the entity, or you think it's just it's a random person?
I personally believe that they are being followed.
Oh, I would think so. I mean, do you really think that would have been successful to stopping it to shoot it in the head in the water?
Of course not. You got to use a crossbow.
But you know the thing now that it appears because they're holding hands that now they're an item for at least this time period. And both of them can see it, so they don't have a system where like, oh, do you see that? And like, no, I don't see anything. Then you know.
Yeah.
So they're fucked.
There you have it.
There you have it. It follows. Great movie to watch.
Yeah, great movie. If you haven't watched it in a while, you should revisit it. And if you have, you should just revisit it anyway, because it's a movie that I think really every time you watch it, you notice just how it all comes together.
The first night I watched this, I watched it at like 1 a.m. by myself in the dark, complete darkness of the house. Baby sleeping, Jen was sleeping. And I was like, even though I knew everything about it, I was like, it was a very tense moment watching it. So I recommend doing it that way. Then I rewatched it in the day, and it was just like, you need that atmosphere.
Well, that about wraps it up, Rusty. And we'll be continuing the horror movie October with our next film. This is a release from Vinegar Syndrome, a surprisingly good, shitty film. Now, for years and years and years, I saw this on VHS. I always kind of wondered what it was going to be like. I watched it. It is insane.
Really? It has like classic cover of like the, not 3D, but what is it called when you rotate it and the demon's like popping out of the window?
Hologram? I don't know. But the movie we're going to be doing is Demon Wind. Kind of a flashback to like the Hellgates and stuff like that. Although it's a much better movie than Hellgate, actually.
Ghoulies? I'm thinking Ghoulies.
It's better than Ghoul. It's like, it's a weird, has a lot of weird elements to it. And it's really crazy. But it's actually kind of, I don't remember, but it's kind of like an Evil Dead ripoff in some ways. But
oh, wow. That's crazy.
It's competently made, especially if you watch the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray, which I recommend.
How would you compare it to Doom Asylum? Because I love Doom Asylum.
It's better than Doom Asylum.
Wow. You heard it here first.
I'm going on record at saying that. We'll see it next episode. Is it really better than Doom Asylum?
Demon Wind. Interesting.
Demon Wind.
Never seen
it. The next episode of Archers of Horror.
All right.
Please rate and review.
I heard what you said there.
Oh, good. At least one of us did.
See ya.
Before my Japanese toilets, I was known for having a dirty butthole.